Senor and senoritas, may I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas, a fantastic, prosperous New Year with extremely good health, wealth, and happiness. So this is the kind of time that we live in this world with a lot of chaotic kind of problems in day-to-day life, facing dangers created by the inhuman humans, like COVID, political disasters, famine. These are all made by cruel politicians all over the world. Politicians are coming from the hell. Politicians are the agents of Lucifer. So they are all from hell. They come to politics using the word democracy, not because of anything, because that they do things according to the wish of the Lucifer, the Satan. So do not trust any politician in this world. Personally, these so-called politicians used me, not only in this third world shitty Sri Lanka, but in other sides of the world. Other sides means in the United States, UK, and Great Asia. So because unfortunately or fortunately, political cartooning is part of my profession. And then apart from that, criticizing and trying to restore so-called democracy. I call it democracy. There's no such thing called democracy. It's just a word created by the Western world. These Western theories are not going to happen in third world shitty Asian countries, because they use the word democracy just to save themselves from criticisms. So that's why in Sri Lanka they killed a lot of media guys. It is happening even now. The first one to go was Lasantha Vikramadunga, my colleague and my best friend. And we were colleagues from the age 20. And the first to leave this shitty country, the Devil's Island, was me. Because after I did my 7 political booklets against the regime of Sirima R. Das Bandaranaike, was connected to me from my dad's side. But she became the Prime Minister after the culprits of the political sector killed her husband, Solomon R. Das Bandaranaike, SWRD Bandaranaike. I think she knew about the assassination, but anyway, she got the she got the the votes from the SLFP party. So these are, I call it sympathy votes. So sympathy votes was immense. So she became the Prime Minister, and instead of running the country for 5 years, she went for 7 years, possibly, without making an attempt to go for the elections. And the newspaper that I worked for at that time was Independence Newspapers. That was a group for the weekend, English paper called The Sun and The Weekend. I was only 14, 15 years when I was going to the university. So these guys, I did political cartoons on cinema, and her unlawful, I should say, unruly kind of attitude that she had, and trying to restrict people for the kind of food rations, all kinds of bloody bullshit stuff. So one day when I was coming to the office, there were military right in front of the independent newspapers. So they said this was sealed off by the guard. So I lost my job, getting a small amount, but of course, I used it for my education. And then what happened was I totally lost my entire earnings, and then there was no job for me. So I went straight down. During that particular week, I went to the opposition party leader. He was Jawad at that time, at his United National Party headquarters, and I said that he recognized me because I was a very strong political cartoonist at that time for the English Daily. So he embraced me, and he gave a call then and there to Anand Dialbis, who was his private secretary at that time, But at that time, that private secretary had an advertising firm called Dialbis Advertising, and that's how I entered into the advertising sector. And I owned, after that, I owned my own newspapers. And these tricky buggers allowed me to do 7 booklets on my own, so-called 7 Years Curse, The Family Tree, Idimavo, and all kinds of bloody shit. That I did this. And then for their election campaign, they used it. They printed about millions and millions of freely distributed booklets, and it went to the general public because it was freely distributed during the election campaign. And then, with a thumping amount of votes, Jaya became the Prime Minister. But I didn't get a single rupee for the work that I have done. Not even a position in the government sector. I had my own advertising firm from my hard earnings. But even during that time, the enemies of the United National Party, cinema thugs came behind me. They wanted to kill me, including JVP. So I didn't have any other choice, but I was the one to leave the country on my own to Europe. So because of my influence, that I got a job as a freelance designer for the FAO in Rome. So that's how I started my globe trotting. I didn't play any dirty political game, but this political game that they played was very bad. I lost my trust in these politicians because they got the higher positions. I mean, like Gamini Disanayak, Vikramavira Suri, and all these brats. They got higher positions, they got ministerial positions, they got ambassador positions because of my work. If there were no booklets, they wouldn't have come to power. So that's how they cheated me and used me as a guinea pig, and they came to power. And as a professional in the media sector, I didn't ask for any favors from any Tom, Dick and Harry who are brutes. I call these politicians of the world as brutes. Cheeky buggers, cheeky bastards. And with their lying lips, they try to get votes from these fools. They cheat them. They even said that if there's no rice, they will get the rice even from the moon. That's how cinema came to power. And with these tricksters, I didn't want to meddle with these tricksters. And my life I spent in 15 over countries up to now. And I used to go to my motherland, and I started my own newspaper as well. But that's another story. And I got Amnesty International Human Rights Awards in Hong Kong, 96, 97 and 98. So my recognition for my work came from the outside world, not from my own country. So due to this political brutality, and I do not want to get back home because I've decided not to go, because if I go, I'm definite that they will trap me and kill me. Because I worked against Rajapaksas, because Rajapaksas are rogues, the whole family. So I don't want to talk about it, so that I will expose it in my next video. So remember, do not ever trust politicians, whoever they are, whatever the party that you are in. So don't go into politics. Politicians are dogs, wild dogs. I should say dogs are better, so I do not want to bring shame to those innocent, cute dogs. So these are vultures. These are bloody murderers. These are hooligans. So do not trust, especially Sri Lankan politicians. So if anybody wants to go for their holidays to Sri Lanka, forget about it. Forget about it. Because even a German tourist she was 85 years old and she was gang raped in Sri Lanka. So police have not taken any initiative to catch these culprits, because police, they themselves, the entire police force, are highly corrupt. They are bribe takers. They even have become pickpockets, rapists. And not only them, even Buddhist monks. So do not trust any of these rascals who have started religious conflicts. Not only religious conflicts, ethnic problems have started inside the temple. So these buggers are with the politicians. They are bribe takers, and with this favoritism and all that, it goes on. So don't even think of going to Sri Lanka for your holidays. Go somewhere else. Thank you. God bless you, and have a wonderful Christmas.